What's going on, everybody? We are back, episode number 222 of the Club and Sub podcast. This week, we're talking UFC 316 taking place near my place in Newark, New Jersey. I am not personally in Newark, New Jersey, but it is about 20 minutes up the road from me. It's a good arena, honestly. What?
Ticket prices are kind of nuts, though, for the pay-per-view.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the card
isn't great. I mean, we'll touch on it, but it's a lot of big favorites.
Yeah, the card is not really good enough for me to justify doing that. Plus, last time I went to an event in Newark, it took me like 3 hours to get home. Even though it was horrible. So yeah, I actually think I am going to go with Pepe and the Dogfather to the FanDuel Sportsbook and watch it from there. So that'll be
fun.
That'll be fun. Yeah. But yeah, before we get into this card, guys, drop a like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. It help us out. Real quick, let's chat about last night's card. Pretty good card for me. I went up 5.83 units on the night, which was cool. I had 3 units risked on Mateusz Gamrot to win 2 at minus 150. That obviously was really good. I also had like 0.7 units tied to sub and sub 2-3. That didn't get home. I did feel like, man, if he just gotten him down a minute earlier in that round 3, he might have been able to find something because, Klein just looked done. I had Dustin Jacoby at minus 170, risked 3.4 units to win 2. I mean, that was about as easy as it gets, easy as pie there. So that was cool. And then I had 3.02 units risk to win 2 on Alan Nascimento. I mean, that at minus 151, that won, but I don't think I had much value on it. I think the price you got on it wasn't bad, like minus 120. But like, I didn't expect the physicality difference to be as pronounced as it was early in the fight. So I feel like I'd probably reline it like minus 150, honestly. I think that was fine. But happy to take the win. And then I had Alice Ardolina and Rayani Amanda parlayed to go the distance at minus 380, but sadly it was parlayed with Aaron Blanchfield, and obviously that fight got called off right at the walk.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of I won like 0.53 units on that fight. I actually kind of wonder, curious your opinion on this. Like, is Macy gonna fight again? Like, she's had all these health issues, and now this is happening. I actually wonder if maybe retirement's in the future, because that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we really never see.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see, a lot of people were saying that like she actually did make the walk and then she walked back. Again, we didn't really see that on some of the broadcasts. I didn't get a chance to see it myself. I didn't see it. So that's just an interesting thing. We've really never seen something like that. I mean, just like we saw recently, if you saw Anton Turkalj on the regional scene get a spinning back fist knockout and then he instantly goes, takes a shit.
Yeah.
That was great.
Did you, how'd you do last night?
2-0. So I had Nascimento minus 122 to win a unit. Kind of like you touched on again. Maybe I would play that at the line that I got, but again, I say I would line it probably minus 150, minus 170-ish range. He proved that to be the better grappler over 15, more cardio, in my opinion, too. And we knew Nascimento would play off his back a little bit and can be taken down. And then I had the under 2.5 rounds in the Goff-Ramirez fight, which was hilarious. Minus 150 to win a unit.
I actually got to, I bet right at post, Narco told me that they were actually had limits up on FanDuel for betting takedowns. So like I got to bet Ramirez 1 or more takedowns at minus 120 for a fair amount right at post, which was kind of nice. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, we'll jump into it. UFC 316. It's the Merab Dvalishvili, Sean O'Malley rematch. Okay, card. First, we got first fight of the night. We got a new fight booking here. We had Andreas Gustafsson, who was supposed to be booked to fight Officer Giles last week. He's taking on Chaos Williams. The current price, Williams minus 225. The comeback on Gustafsson is plus 190. I think the price is fine, honestly. I was hoping there'd be a bit more Gustafsson respect here, given the way he was getting power ranked for Parsons and Giles. Obviously, Williams a bit higher up in the division than either of them, but he's fallen on some hard times recently. So I was kind of hoping maybe we'd get like, a 130, 140 on Williams here. But yeah, in general, in terms of how the fight's going to go, look, we talked about Gustafsson last week. He's going to try to clinch you up, beat you up there, maybe take you down. And that's really his whole game. He's fighting a guy in Chaos Williams who is not the easiest guy to clinch up. I think Williams has a pretty substantial power edge here, pretty substantial athleticism edge. I think he probably has a durability edge as well. Obviously, he's got a strength of competition edge. He's the more experienced of the two fighters. He's been fighting at a higher level. Gustafsson, I guess he could just cage fuck him for 15 minutes, or maybe he gets a couple takedowns and catches a dominant position. But in general, I feel Chaos should do just fine in this fight. I think minus 240 is fine. I'm not going to play it. I have no interest in it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I have similar thoughts to you as well. It's hard not to think that Gustafsson's going to run onto some big shots here from Chaos. Like, I think Chaos definitely could put him down here, or just land the harder shots over 15 minutes. I mean, to your point you brought up originally, Chaos isn't really an easy guy to clinch up, not an easy guy to grapple. I mean, Bonfim was really the only guy to have huge success in that realm. So, yeah, I think Chaos should be fine here.
Yep, agreed. Next fight of the night, we have an interesting one here. We've got Markel Medeiros taking on Mark Choinsky. Choinsky is I guess both of them. I mean, Medeiros was supposed to fight yesterday and pulled out, which was weird. But now he's being booked next week. This literally just happened to him with his last fight as well, where he pulled out and moved a week back to fight. Who was it? He fought Hubbard. I think he was supposed to fight Chris Gutierrez originally, and he pulled out and moved it a week back. And now he's here fighting Mark Choinsky. Current price, Medeiros pretty big favorite. He's minus 300. The comeback on Choinsky is plus 250. Obviously, surface level, you could understand why Medeiros would be such a big favorite. He's taking on a debutant with 8 fights who hasn't really fought a particularly strong level of competition. Medeiros, mostly like a moderate volume kickboxer. Okay, he's nothing special. Not great defense, not great power. Some pretty significant grappling issues we saw in the Austin Hubbard fight. But he should have a pretty big standing edge in this fight. Having said that, I think the Mark Choinsky side is pretty interesting here. I feel he actually, it's funny because I don't know if nobody just knows who the guy is. He actually has a really, really serious grappling background. He was a 3-time All-American in Division III. He was a nasty, nasty college wrestler. He's now at Rufus Sport, where his main sparring partner is Christian Rodriguez. You watch his tape, and his striking is meat and potatoes, and it's not very good. If he's stuck a distance here with Medeiros for any length of time, he's probably going to get beaten up a bit. But he's a really, really good wrestler. And I got to say, on top, he's not as physical and not quite as good, but the way he maintains control on top and in transitions reminds me a bit of Isaac Dolgarian. And he's got a kind of similar college wrestling background to him that he's kind of blended with jiu-jitsu. And man, I think back to that Medeiros fight with Hubbard, and I'll tell you right now, I know for a fact Choinsky's a better grappler than Hubbard. No question in my mind.
Agreed.
And I see the kind of work that Hubbard was able to do to Medeiros in the grappling, and I'm like, dude, this. Look, I'll grant you the level of comp he's fought has been very low. He's obviously making a debuting on a pay-per-view, which is, I'm sure the nerves will be high, a lot of potential for a cardio dump. And he's taking a big step up in competition here, taking on a guy who's a much better striker. But I still look at it and I feel there's a lot of scope for Choinsky to have pretty huge success in this fight. I think if he gets on top of Medeiros, he could finish him or potentially just not let him back up. Yeah, I don't know. I look at it and I feel Medeiros, he deserves to be the favorite, I guess, just because he does have, the UFC pedigree. It's his third UFC fight now. Obviously, Choinsky's making his debut. But I can't picture, Medeiros being past minus 200 here. Whereas if you told me Choinsky comes out and just absolutely runs through him on the mat, I wouldn't really be surprised, at all. So, yeah, I'm going to get myself to a bet on Choinsky. I'll probably keep it somewhat small just because all the kind of macro debuting factors step up in competition. But I think Choinsky's got a real chance to compete here and potentially sub Markel Medeiros. What do you think?
So first thing, I think you said he was supposed to fight Gutierrez. He was supposed to fight.
I thought. Oh, no. 2 times ago, 2 fights ago.
No, he still wasn't. Not at least on apology. I'm not looking, but either way, completely agree with you though. Again, here, I bet the dog rate before we came on the pod here plus 240 for a unit. I think he has pretty big grappling upside. Honestly, if he gets it to the mat, in terms of the striking, I think he can compete. He's a bit open in terms of the striking. Not to mention his strength of schedule is pretty low. I mean, the guys he's fighting on the regional scene weren't really great at all, really. But I think
they're terrible.
Yeah, but I think he does have a decent grappling edge here. So it's tough for me to see plus 240 not be a decent bet here. Not to mention Medeiros, just a pretty thin margins guy. he's not really going to cover this price really against anybody, really.
Well, that's the thing. Like Medeiros, it's not like he's taking on a top 15 guy here, you know? Like Medeiros arguably lost to Landon Quinones in his debut, and then again, arguably lost to Austin Hubbard. And frankly, if Austin Hubbard had any kind of fight IQ in that fight, he would have won pretty easily. It's like Medeiros is pretty bottom of the barrel, in my opinion.
Yeah, not to mention, it's hard not to put Cholinsky like in that tier fighters, really. Like maybe he's like step below Hubbard. Like Hubbard's probably obviously a better striker than him, but in terms of the grappling, much better grappler than Hubbard.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on, we got Kulan Salkill taking on Yanal Ashmouz. Should be a banger fight for while it lasts. Current price, Salkill minus 500. The comeback on Ashmouz plus 375. What do you think your legs?
Well, you mentioned while it lasts, and the under is actually where I'd be looking first. Under's like plus 135, plus 140, and I think Salkill probably does find a finish here. I mean, I get him being a huge favorite, and I understand he's very green, but dude's top in terms of this matchup, much bigger guy, much longer. I think he has a huge volume edge, and I think he has a huge wrestling edge as well.
Yeah, Salkill's he's an interesting cat. I'm very high on him, to be honest. I was extremely impressed. Like, I don't really care about his debut, like knocking out Jubbly in like 20 seconds. That who fucking cares?
Right.
But I thought his Contender Series performance was very, very impressive. You know, he threw a ton of volume in that fight. He attempted 21 takedowns, seemed really durable, and he seemed like his cardio checked out. I mean, that was a dogfight, and he was still bringing it late. Obviously, you know, he's still relatively green, but, you know, when you have that kind of a frame and that kind of cardio and that kind of work rate, you probably got pretty big things in front of you. Ashmouz, he's okay. I mean, he's got decent power. He's fast. Bit low output, though. He's an okay offensive wrestler. He's a pretty poor defensive wrestler, in my opinion. So I feel like, you know, Ashmouz could knock him out. You know, he could find the chin like early in this fight. But I do think if Salkill starts to get his game going, it's going to probably snowball on Ashmouz, and he'll start to take over, and, you know, just start the volume of takedowns will start coming. He'll probably get to some dominant positions. I do think it might be a little bit wide, just because I don't think the grappling disparity is such that, like, one takedown and, you know, Ashmouz is screwed and just can't get up. You know, like I could see him working up. What was that?
I said, yeah, I agree, but I feel like Salkill's pace in the grappling is just going to keep going. Like he's going to be able to land 4 or 5 takedowns here.
Yeah, but I more mean like, you know, like I think Ashmouz will have opportunities to land heavy in this fight.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's still, you know, I think it's hard to put his finishing upside here in this fight past like 15% maybe. And so with that dynamic, yeah, I mean, Salkill deserves to be a pretty big favorite. I'm fine with it. I don't really have any interest in getting involved on the Ashmouz side. Moving on, we have got Azamat Mirzakhanov taking on Brenson Ribeiro. The current price is Mirzakhanov minus 600. The comeback on Ribeiro plus 425. I'm going to eventually take a poke on Ribeiro here. It's not like the most passionate take I've ever had. And I can see what the market is thinking in terms of lining it this wide. Obviously, Ribeiro famously glass, you know, when you touch him. Mirzakhanov, big hitter, very, very fast, very good kickboxer for about 8 minutes till he slows down. But, you know, having said that, look, I think Mirzakhanov's the better fighter in this fight. Certainly on the feet, he's the better fighter at any rate.
Yeah.
But there's some pretty big macro red flags for Mirzakhanov here. First of all, Ribeiro is only 28 years old. He's probably still improving a bit. Mirzakhanov's giving away 5 inches of height and 10 inches of reach in the fight. He is giving away 8 years. You know, he's 37. He's about to be 37 years old. And like, he looks like an old man, you know? So what did he say? How much did I lose in 107? I won 5.8 units. What is he talking about? I'm assuming he's talking about last night. But anyway, yeah, so like at some point, you know, the speed is going to start to go for Mirzakhanov, right? Like it's going to, like that's his biggest asset is how fast he is. And now he's taking on a much taller, longer fighter who's also pretty fast and who also hits very, very hard, who's also a lot younger than him. Yeah, I favor Mirzakhanov, but also like if the fight hits the mat, Ribeiro is the superior jiu-jitsu player, you know? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of red flags on the Mirzakhanov fight in this fight, on the Mirzakhanov side in this fight. Like you want to say minus 250, maybe minus 300, okay, but I think he's got a lot of potential downside here. Like I'm not going to play Ribeiro big or anything, maybe like a half unit, but I do think the metric and the intangible advantages for Ribeiro and the age gap. It's enough combined with how dangerous he is to be worth taking a shot at plus 400. What do you think, Lex?
I mean, in terms of the length and the reach, I mean, those are huge advantages for Ribeiro here. But I mean, you touched on it in terms of the chin. The guy's made of glass, and it's hard for me to not see Mirzakhanov just landing a huge shot on him and finishing him early, like under 1.5 rounds, minus 160. Not that I'm looking at that, but I feel like that's more than accurate, really.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, wait, you think minus 600 is accurate?
No,
you can't picture.
No. The minus 160 on the under 1.5.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I could see it getting over because I feel like Mirzakhanov's not like high pace guy. Like I feel like there could be a lot of waiting in terms of like the reach. Also, again, like,
I mean, but if it goes over, there's no way he's minus 600. There's no way.
Probably not. No.
Yeah. So, I am. Yeah, I'll take Ribeiro small. Next fight up, we got Ju Sang Yu taking on Jekka Saragay. It's another bump fight here. Sang Yu, big favorite, minus 510. Comeback on Jekka, plus 385. What are your thoughts here, Lex?
I mean, Yu has some interesting characteristics. Like he's a decent offensive grappler. It seems like a pretty poor defensive grappler. Got some big power on the feet, though. Doesn't seem to have the best striking defense. He likes to keep his hand low when he leaves the pocket. That's kind of like the glaring red flag everybody's going to see on tape. But I think he finishes Jekka. I mean, Jekka's like one of the worst fighters, honestly, to ever come into the UFC. So this should probably be easy work for him.
Edward Bryan telling us that Gugabe makes Ribeiro pick him. I would not take it that far, but Gugabe loves his dogs.
Yeah.
I don't have strong feelings here. I think Jekka is like literally one of the worst fighters to ever get rostered in the lower weight classes. There's pretty much no line that you could ever entice me into, betting Jekka at. I mean, he did knock out Lucas Alexander, but that was like so fluky. It's unbelievable. I don't think like too much of you. Like he seems like a decent prospect. He's a decent striker. He's an okay grappler, reasonably well-rounded, he's already over 30 though. He's only got 8 pro fights. Yeah, I'm not like overly high on him, but he should have better cardio here. He should have better grappling if he wants it. And he's the much better striker of the two. I do think at some point he's going to probably put Jekka down. Honestly, like that's my gut instinct. Because like initially I was like maybe play over here because this guy's only got 3 finishes in his career. But Jekka just gets hit flush way too much, and if you put him on the mat, he just like gives up his neck so quickly. So, yeah, no real strong thoughts about this fight. Mine seems fine to me. I think you should win. I think he's probably going to finish. Moving on, we've got Sergey Spivak taking on Waldo Cortez Acosta. Current line, Spivak minus 135. The comeback on Acosta plus 115. I lean the Spivak side here. I don't know if I'll get to a bet on it. I might retape it later in the week just to try to see if like any more clarity emerges on the fight. I've been trying to do that a bit lately on fights where like I lean aside, but I'm not like totally sure on.
Yeah.
But so like on paper, stylistically, I feel like it's not a bad fight for Spivak. I really don't, because he does have a big grappling edge in this fight. I think he can get takedowns here fairly easily against Waldo. And Waldo, he'll try to scramble up. It's what he always does. But, Waldo's approach for scrambling up is giving his back up. And, Spivak is one of the few heavyweights who does a really good job if you give your back up of like riding you along the fence. Like he'll ride you, he'll put the occasional hook in or lace your leg up and he'll beat you up there. He's very, very, very good at that. And so I think he should have a lot of success grappling Acosta. And I think Acosta is going to have a lot of problems disengaging from him where he hasn't had those issues previously with other heavyweights. So with that in mind, it's like, oh, you think Spivak should be a big favorite. The thing that I just can't get out of my head, though, I'm still not totally sold on Spivak's cardio. And like,
yeah,
I think he's got the reputation for having good cardio, but like, go look at his big signature wins. Like Derek Lewis, he broke inside of a round, finished. Sakai broke in about the middle of round 2, got finished. Tai Tuivasa broke in the middle of round 2 and got finished. One of the few times we've actually seen him have to, push deep into round 3 was the Oleinik fight. Now, I'll say this, he's in much better shape today than he was when he fought Oleinik, and he's probably has a pretty good doctor. However, that fight he gassed out horribly in. And the guy just hasn't been late that many times. And so I am like, the big difference between Waldo, Dravi just said it in the chat, the big difference between Waldo and, the other heavyweights, good heavyweights that Spivak's finishing is these guys are breaking. Waldo, he is not going to break. He's going to keep trying to get up. And if Spivak starts to slow down, I mean, Waldo might take over and put it on him because Waldo's got pretty good cardio. He has a lot of output. So I don't know, because it's a weird dynamic. Because, I mean, if you could tell me for sure what kind of energy Spivak has in round 3, I'd be able to tell you with how much confidence I have in him in this fight. And, like, initially, I was like, oh, maybe the Carlos Felipe fight. The problem is, like, Felipe, he actually could strike with Felipe. And, he could probably land the odd jab and calf kick here with Waldo. But I don't think he can strike with Waldo for extended periods of time successfully, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. My instinct is to either bet Spivak or pass and look to play Waldo live, because I do think pretty high degree of confidence that Spivak is going to have a lot of success early in this fight, and wouldn't even shock me if he finished early in this fight, to be honest. But I don't know. The cardio kind of scares me. What do you think?
I actually lean the other side, and again, confidence might not be enough for me to make a bet, but I mean, bring up a lot of the fights that I was going to bring up as well. The Sakai fight, the Lewis fight, even the Greg Hardy fight. Like, he's getting early finishes and he's having success almost right from the get-go.
Yeah,
he's a hugely confidence-based fighter, Spivak.
Yep, I agree.
So if he doesn't win the first round here against Waldo, I don't trust him, to Dravi's point, to dog out that third round. So I feel like I pick him. I actually lean the Waldo side. On the feet, like you mentioned, I think Waldo's probably going to land the bigger shots. Maybe it's. I
don't hate it. I get it.
Right. Like, to your point, it's a weird dynamic, but I just find myself on the Waldo side because I don't think Sergey's going to be able to easily dominate the grappling. I mean, you look at those guys: the Hardy, the Lewis, Hardy, Lewis, and Sakai. Horrible cardio and horrible defensive grappling. And I wouldn't put Waldo in terms of that.
I think Waldo's defensive grappling is pretty bad, personally.
It's not great, but it's not. I don't think it's as bad as those guys, and I think he's got much better cardio than those guys.
Yeah, he definitely has better cardio than those guys, but I do think his defensive grappling looks pretty suspect to me. But look, I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't feel like super jazzed up about a bet on Spivak, so I'm probably going to pass it. I do tend to lean him, though, like gun to my head. Moving on, we got Ariane Lipski. She's taking on Kong Wang. Current price, Lipski plus 290, or Kong Wang minus 360. Comeback on Lipski plus 295. What are your thoughts here, Legs?
I feel like I want to bet Lipski here. Just because it's hard for me to not see her compete a little bit in the striking. Like, I know Wang's a solid striker, but I feel like defensively she's not the best. Like, Silva can definitely land big shots on her. Definitely can compete. And listen, I know she doesn't have best defensive grappling, but Kong Wang she's not a great wrestler. The dog tempts me.
I'm not really tempted by Lipski. I thought I was going to be. Yeah. And I feel like Wang's striking metrics are really fucking good. She's really, really good at getting in and out and just not absorbing. Now, granted, I mean, she did get hurt bad by Gabriela Fernandez, but prior to that, she was kind of stunting on her. And, obviously she did that to Brazil too. Wang, very, very long background in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Look, if she bangs in the pocket with Lipski, I think Lipski can have plenty of success. But I do think she's going to have somewhat of a hard time tracking, Wang on the outside in this fight. And I also feel like, even though Wang is not, like, I don't think a dominant grappler, I do think she can get a couple takedowns here. And, like, with Lipski's bottom game, it's just like 2 or 3 takedowns. If you project 2 or 3 takedowns, that's enough to basically say Lipski's kind of screwed, and I get it. Yeah. So, like, I'm not, like, looking to lay, like, minus 360 on Kong Wang, but I do kind of think she's going to take care of business here. Maybe, if we get a decent look at it, take a look at, like, Wang's sub or something like that. If it's a big price, that would possibly interest me if we got, like, a plus 1,000, plus 1,400 on that. But, yeah, I think Wang should take care of this. Pepe saying I should lay the Wang juice. It's honestly not the craziest idea. I'm just like, after not betting Gabby Fernandez against her, God, that hurt. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Bruno Silva taking on Joshua Van. Van, a huge favorite here. We have another minus 500 on this card. Joshua Van minus 500, minus 600 now Comeback on Bruno Silva plus 425. I don't know. I mean, it's probably steep just because I don't think for the style that Van fights with that he's the most durable guy ever. Obviously, he's been dropped like 3 times in the UFC. He's been knocked out. Bruno, decent amount of firepower. So like, Van's not going to out wrestle Bruno. I'm like certain of that. Bruno's certainly the better grappler in this fight. And so Van's minus 600 and what's going to be a barn burner where he's going to come forward and go to war in the pocket. That seems a little fucking crazy to me, to be honest. Having said that, I do think he is like, Fresh Gambles just said it in the chat. How is Van a bigger fave than Cape was? Like, that makes no sense, you know? Like, that makes literally, like, Van was minus 150 against Durden. Silva was in the same territory, and now Van's minus 600 against Silva. But I do think Van's the superior fighter. You know, he's a much better striker. He's a much better pace, you know. If he doesn't get hurt, he'll probably pump Bruno down the stretch here and maybe finish him. But I don't know, man. Like, the price does seems pretty out there, you know, because like, we've seen Van get hurt and knocked out before in the UFC. We have seen Bruno Silva show some pretty slick grappling chops. We've seen Bruno Silva knock out pretty durable guys in the past. I feel like this is a little crazy. I don't know if I want to do it. Like, I don't really want to take the dog shelter, but
right.
I also kind of want to do it. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. A lot of these like huge favorites, they're interesting on this card just because like none of these scream like, you know what, I want to bet on these guys in any capacity, really.
Yeah, it's not like they're grapple fuckers, you know, which you normally expect with a minus 600.
No, and to your point, Van's super hittable. It can be grappled, so it's like that and a minus 600. I have really no interest, but like it's hard for me to again not see down the stretcher him landing big volume, him landing big shots on Bruno. Bruno's not the most durable guy either.
Bruno could do some damage to his legs though too.
He could.
Low key, you know. Van very front foot heavy. It's pretty interesting fight, honestly. It's pretty interesting for a minus 600 anyway. You're right though. It's kind of crazy. Like just going through this. It's like Van, hittable brawler, Mirzakhanov, 37-year-old, low volume striker, Jin Sang Yu, kind of a pressure boxer. Salkill is like the one huge chalk spot, and obviously one we'll get to later. Yes. That I'm like, okay, I understand, you know, why he's such big chalk. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Moving on, we've got actually, to be honest with you, I think Wang would be more justified as like a minus 500 than Josh Van would be personally.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And she's probably not facing that much of a finishing threat. So,
no.
But moving on, we got Mario Batista taking on Patchy Mix. Some would argue this is the people's main event this week. Lags, what do you think? Current price, Patchy Mix is minus 170 to come back on Mario plus 145.
Listen, I lean the newcomer's way, honestly. I think the line's probably fine just because I do think in terms of the matchup, I think Mix is the better wrestler and is the better grappler here. Like, I know Mario is going to get the better of him in terms of striking, but it's hard for me to not see Mix have solid advantages in the grappling and the wrestling in this spot.
Yeah, I like Mario a fair amount. I do worry that so many people, like, I love Mario here, and, like, you know, I haven't really heard many people giving, you know, Mix his due, but look, where Mix, I think, you know, Mix's skills are kind of all over the place, and I think what sets him apart in most of his matchups is he has a very, very, very high amount of finishing equity against the vast majority of fighters in the division. Yeah. And when you have that kind of finishing ability, it can mitigate, you know, a lot of issues. Like, no one really wants to grapple Mix because of it. You know, no one. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the bottom line. Yeah. But like, I look at this fight, and like, I don't think he's the better submission grappler than Mario. But I know he's not the better wrestler. I don't think he's the better clinch fighter than Mario. I don't think he has better cardio than Mario. I don't think he's the better striker than Mario. Now, I mean, could he fucking pull something out of a horseshoe out of his ass like he's done a million other times and submit Mario? He could, yeah. But like, I just watched this guy have to rob Magomedov. Magomedov, who is it? He's an okay striker, but he's nothing special. Over 25 minutes and get outstruck. Like, I'd take Batista over Magomedov in a second. So, yeah, I feel like Mario is getting disrespected a bit here. You know, our Mix is really good. I really like him. I'm glad the UFC signed him. I also feel like the difference between the level of competition that Mix has been fighting and Batista has been fighting is pretty vast. Like, Jose Aldo, even at this advanced stage, I think would handle guys like Rafi on Stotts just fine. So yeah, I like Mix. I'll be on him for a bit. Or not Mix, sorry. I like Batista. I'll be on him for a bit. I think he deserves to be like a small favorite here. Do worry how many people like Mario, but I do think it's Super Mario season. So,
well, John, since our shot bet got canceled last week,
yeah, we can do a shot bet
with Giles and Gustafsson. I'll give you a 2-1.
Okay, that's fine.
If Mario wins, I'll do 2.
All right, that's fine. That works for me.
Yep,
that works for me.
Figure that's fair to offer you 2 on that one.
Moving on, we got Vicente Luque taking on Kevin Trailblazer Holland. Current price, Holland minus a lot of money coming in on Holland minus 250. The comeback on Luque plus 210. I kind of fucked this up. I wish I'd played Holland. I wish I'd looked at it earlier and taken Holland around the minus 180, minus 190 range. I mean, obviously, I bet Luque in his last fight against Demba. That was great, but okay. I still think Luque is pretty much on the way out here. I think even at Luque's peak, this would have been a pretty hard fight for him just because he's giving away reach, speed, footwork, all to like Holland. And now with a much more deteriorated, damage-ridden version of him, I just think, like, look, I think his best path is to come out and try to grapple Holland, you know, similar to the RDA fight. But his offensive wrestling just isn't very good. And I think he's always had a hard time tracking guys down. It's like, I just don't see it. I shouldn't say I don't see it as a path. I don't think it's a very likely one. And in the striking, I think Holland's a lot more durable at this point. I think he's faster. I think he hits harder. I think he's more precise. I mean, he's got a big reach edge. He's got a big height edge. I just think it's a really, really tough fight for Luque here. Their trajectories are like Luque is on the way out the door. Holland, I don't want to say he's on the way up. He's kind of just is what he is, you know, fighting every couple months. Yeah. But like, this is the kind of fight that like is very, very generous to Holland, I think. What do you think?
Well, I'm only seeing this line on Bovada, so I'm not sure if it's going to be widely available, but the under 2.5 at like Pick'em, to me, seems like an obvious spot here. Like, Holland should have huge finishing upside, in my opinion, against Luque on the feet here. More volume, much longer guy, versatile attacks. And I think Luque could find a finish on the mat if he gets it there.
Yeah, so, I agree with that.
Pick'em, it's hard to not see like both guys having finishing upside.
Moving on, we got Kelvin Gastelum, Joe Pyfer. Obviously, this is a rebook from Mexico City. Current price, Pyfer minus 365. The comeback on Gastelum plus 290. It's kind of annoying because I was going to play Gastelum in Mexico City in large part because I felt like the altitude was going to be a big deal in this kind of a fight. And obviously now that element of the fight is gone. I still think the line's a bit wide. I mean, Pyfer, does he deserve to be minus 360 against Kelvin Gastelum? Like, I know Gastelum's on the way down, but like, Piper's low volume. He's probably not going to have like a ton of grappling success in this fight. He doesn't take leg kicks well, and Gastelum throws them. So, like, I feel the line is still pretty wide. I mean, Kelvin's fought everybody, but at the same time, I do think Kelvin's pretty washed, and I think there's a massive firepower difference between the two at this point in their careers. And I do think if either of them is to consolidate, 6-7 minutes of top time, it'll be Pyfer, even though I don't expect him to, but I think he's the one with much more grappling upside on his side in this fight. And Pyfer's getting better. Gastelum is not. Gastelum is getting worse. Joe Pyfer is getting better,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I guess I'll monitor the line. I felt like a lot better about taking Gastelum against the guy with sketchy cardio at like 7,000 feet.
100%.
I feel less good about taking it in New Jersey. If my cardio is holding up here, I'm sure Joe Pyfer's will do just fine.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Not wrong. Now, listen, I get your sentiment, and even though this is a rebooking, I definitely went back and reran the tape on both of these guys, and looking at the Kelvin, just even his last fight, the Kelvin and D-Rod spot, it's like, dude, Kelvin looked kind of like not gas, but like his cardio did not look good like halfway through that fight.
No, and D-Rod's like a pretty friendly fight for him at this point in his career too,
because he's super washed too, and it's like, dude, that was a 50-50 fight,
man. Yeah, it was. I'm with you. I don't feel nearly as much passion about it, and like, I don't feel the need to lose money chasing, hoping this is the time Kelvin Gastelum shows up in shape. Like that's I'm good.
Yeah, and maybe this is a crazy hot take too, but I think Pyfer is probably one of the safer favorites on the card too. Like, we're talking about all these like big, huge favorites.
I wouldn't say that, but let's.
But
I think the safest favorite on the card is Saul Killed, and after that, probably Wang, in my opinion.
I guess I'll disagree on the second one. Not okay. I think that's the main event, personally.
Which one? The next one?
No, as number 2. South.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Well, hold on. We'll get to it. Next up, we got the women's bantamweight championship of the world on the line. Juliana Pena, newly crowned champ for the second time. She's defending her title against Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison, obviously a giant favorite here. She is minus 600. The comeback on Pena is plus 425. I really wanted to find a way to like Pena in the spot, but
yeah,
I can't get there. I think the physicality difference is just too much, man. Like even like you go back to her fight with Pacheco that she lost, Pacheco is like a cyborg, she's a gigantic woman on all of the steroids in the world.
Huge physicality.
And that was a dicey close fight. That was a super close fight. It's not like that was a blowout.
Right.
I look at this and it's like, I just feel like Vieira was a tougher fight for Harrison, just because Vieira's got great takedown defense. She's very hard to take down. She's a cleaner striker. In this fight, I'm not even sure Pena's a better striker, Harrison could probably just kick her on the outside, but she's not going to do that. She's going to go plunging in and try to take her down. And like, I know Pena is going to play jiu-jitsu and try to chase arm bars and triangles. I just don't really see them. I don't see that high a percentage of them working. Like maybe like 7 or 8% of the time she catches a sub. And other than that, I kind of think Harrison just runs through her, gets pretty easy takedowns, gets the top control, and just tees off on her. I do kind of like to go the distance, honestly, just because I don't think Pena is an easy woman to finish. I think it would be pretty tough for Harrison to sub her from top position. The only 2 times Pena's been subbed were in an armbar and a guillotine. Pepe saying Pena will take her back once. It could happen. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to be upset if I miss a Kayla Harrison fade with Juliana Pena. I just think the difference in physicality and grappling or wrestling ability in general is just massive here. What do you think, Legs?
I think again. I mean, Kayla's one of the favorites on the card too. Now again, she's minus 600, so again, you don't want any business really with that. But I mean, this should be a very, very friendly matchup for her. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
But what is Pena's path to victory? Again, getting her back, maybe
submission,
maybe finding a sub, right, taking the fight, cardio edge, maybe. But I think Harrison should be able to land takedowns and get control time pretty easily.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nothing exciting to say about it. Should be a pounding.
This pay-per-view is tough to really break down because it's like, listen, it's big favorite after big favorite, and a lot of these just seem like friendly.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy that the tickets are as expensive as they are, and like Mix Batista is the only. It's like the only fight that's even borderline watchable if you're not like a gambler.
Well, even like the Spivak fight, it's like the casual fan's not going to know who those guys are. Like like us who watch MMA week in and week out do, but like even that one.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, though, we got the main event. It's a rematch. I don't know why we needed it, but they're making it. We got Merab Dvalishvili. He is minus 285. He is taking on the Sugar Show, or 275. The comeback on China Malley plus 235. Take it away, Lags. What do you think?
Like I just said a couple fights ago, I think Merab is honestly one of the safest favorites on this card. I think he's got, like we saw in the first fight, huge cardio and huge grappling advantages over Sean. And it's tough for me to really see him negate that. I know the fight was close in some aspects, but over the 25-minute stretch, Merab dominated him really in terms of the grappling and the cardio.
Yeah.
But I think Merab decision's fine. If you can get it maybe under that minus 150 range, maybe playable, but I think where it's at, it's fine.
I mean, I bet Merab money line for 3 units at plus 115 last fight, and I just bet him against Umar for 2 units at plus 250. I'm not betting his decision at minus 160. That's not going to happen. I'm happy with my Merab, but the money I've made on Merab. I don't know. It's an interesting fight. I have like mixed feelings about the last fight because on the one hand, it wasn't a close fight, but it did. There were, I don't want to say sketchy moments. I mean, the end of round 5, there was a big sketchy moment for Merab when he got hurt to the body. But like the margins, it wasn't kind of a typical Merab fight where he's like running over you, and like spiking you on your head 40 times or anything like that. Like the Umar fight was much closer to Merab being, Merab than that fight was. And, on watching it back, I wonder like, can Merab do something different and outperform that? And I think he could. I think Merab could show up and perform, give us a better performance that's much closer to the vintage Merab we saw against Jan and against Umar. Having said that, though, I think he was very, very cognizant of O'Malley's counters and not wanting to get countered coming in. And so I kind of expect him to kind of play a similarly safe style here with O'Malley. And I do think that leads. Look, it's a style he should still win unless he gets clipped, but I don't think it's automatic by any means. And I still think, even in the way that first fight played out, I think there is some upside for O'Malley, maybe hurting him another time in that fight and stealing a decision, like that could happen. O'Malley is a sniper.
Yeah.
There's obviously some upside for him finishing him. And I think if O'Malley switched it up and went to the body a bit more, maybe he could have success there. We did see him hurt him in the body. And, Nick Dogfather said in the chat, like, O'Malley's got really good movement and really good footwork. And, like, Merab is going to be cautious coming in. So, I don't know. The number, I don't know if it's wide, but I do think, it's not nearly as automatic as, like, the first time around, he was plus money. I feel like O'Malley could make some improvements. He could work on getting up more urgently, and trying to separate. Obviously, that's easier said than done with Merab, but I think there is room for, like I said, I think there's room for Merab to improve on his performance from last time, but I also think there's a lot of room for O'Malley to improve. Like, it wouldn't shock me if this fight plays, closer than the first fight did. It also wouldn't shock me if it was closer to a vintage Merab performance. I guess I think the line is right. It's just like he's very, very reliant on having like singular moments in this kind of a fight, which I think can happen, but he's just not going to do the same amount of work that Merab is going to do over 25 minutes here. And like, can he finish Merab? Yeah, but it hasn't happened yet, not in like 11 fights anyway. So maybe he'll be the guy to do it. The one thing I will say is that, despite all the shit O'Malley took for that performance, he did outperform offensively and defensively against Merab better than just about anybody Merab has fought. So if you tell me a guy in the middle of their prime and the best striker in that division who was able to perform closer to Merab than anybody he's fought previously or since could make some improvements and, maybe make it enough to make it a very competitive fight, it wouldn't shock me. Like, to me, it's O'Malley or pass. I'm passing. I'm fine to not bet on it, but like, I feel like if you're going to bet on it, it's got to be O'Malley here. Like, minus 300 Merab when you could have bet him at plus 115 2 fights ago and a plus 250 last fight. Like, this is the first time in the guy's career he's getting, market respect, literally. Like, dude, other than
well, I was gonna say, because he just took out these huge names, and like people were giving him no respect against Umar, and it's like plus 250 there. It's like, dude, that seems crazy.
250 against Umar, 115 against O'Malley, 200 against Jan, minus 170 against Cejudo. He was like minus 150 against John Dodson. Like, he has been bettable almost his entire run.
The 170 against Cejudo was laughable. That was fun.
I know. It's crazy. So the other thing is I don't know how to pronounce this. My apologies. But the other thing is, I will say this, Merab's 34 years old, and
John,
it's meant to
hallelujah. Come on.
Hallelujah. Okay. Merab is 34 years old, and like, it's meant. Look, he's like one of my favorite fighters ever. Other than the on fight where I got smoked, I've made like a fucking fat bag on like Merab's career. But the reality is, men's 135, the athleticism starts to go a lot younger. And Merab is the kind of guy, he trains really, really hard all the time. And if it starts to go at all for him, like, he does not have the skill set, for, to really afford much slippage, So I don't know. I think there's some macro factors that are working towards O'Malley here. Like, this fight was pick'em last time out. Yeah, Merab looked like a pretty big favorite, but now he's minus 300,
And you want to talk I was going to say, you want to talk about training hard too, the toe injury.
Yeah, and he's got a toe injury. So, like, that's what I'm saying. To me, it seems very clearly O'Malley or pass. Dravi's saying the line of Merab and Market reminds me of Bilal. Yeah. But Merab's a lot better than fucking Bilal, man. Like, but again, not even close.
Finally gave Bilal some respect in terms of the market, made him a huge
That is true.
Huge favorite. I think that's more so maybe what he was getting at.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, I agree. And everybody's been trying to fucking fade Merab for fights now, and it's like, now no one wants to fade him. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get there.
Listen, it does seem like a fair spot in terms of like, oh, listen, we just saw him in the first fight. Like, how good his cardio, his grappling is over 25 minutes. Like, how's Sean going to stop that, next fight out?
Yeah, I know. And like, would it be... My biggest concern is, like, I just think O'Malley is, like, too light in the ass to, like, stop takedowns once Merab gets him clinched. Like, I'm like, dead serious, because, like, you saw it last fight.
I mean, the physicality difference really is pretty big. I mean, we obviously see Merab's on all the...
Once Merab would get his hands locked, he was dragging him down pretty easily. So I think it's gonna. I don't think O'Malley has the frame to really pummel effectively when Merab has his hands locked. He's just gonna get kind of toppled over. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I have a fucking weird feeling about it. I really, really do. I have a feeling that O'Malley's gonna knock him out. I just maybe I'll be wrong, but dude, Merab's been fighting a lot. He's got a broken toe. I don't know. But yeah, guys, that'll do it. Roach, I will hit you with your PayPal. He messaged me, by the way, Lags. So just Venmo me. But I will hit you with the PayPal shortly if you're watching.
Yes.
And yeah, guys, we'll do.
Maybe we'll do maybe this week. Maybe we'll get a
it's a
creative.
pay-per-view.
We'll get creative with it this week, maybe.
We should do something fun. We should make it some kind of something like exotic. Make somebody have to hit it.
Listen, John.
We actually got a fair amount of entries on this one, I believe.
We did, John. If you want to make the contest rules for this one, talk to me about it. We could do it. You can.
All right.
Rules, go for it.
All right.
Make up the rules this time instead of the 4+ leg.
All right, that works.
Something crazy.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Drop a like, subscribe, share the show. We'll be back next Sunday night to chat UFC Atlanta, Hotlanta. It'll be fun. Sean and I are going to drop a combat and cocktails this week. And yeah, guys, we'll have a new contest out there soon. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Take it easy. Peace.